Konnichiwa, critics rated t.s.m, and welcome back to Nihongo Kayobi desu, Japanese Tuesdays. Today we'll be talking about the writing systems, hiragana, katakana, and kanji. I'm only going to briefly go over katakana and kanji as I will be giving them their own videos. Katakana is basically used for the foreign words, and it's the counterparts of hiragana, since katakana, as Toba Sensei, my Japanese professor, tells me in my class, I guess, explains that it was originally the writing system of men. Since men are boxy, that's why it looks boxy. Whereas hiragana, the counterpart, it was used by women and is now the phonetic system, and it's curvy because women are curvy. Kanji just means Chinese character or characters, pluralities or plural, whatever you call it. They're a different story that needs to be gotten into later. But when you translate it, it can be character or character, since it's kind of understood when something is plural sometimes. Now, Chinese characters that are used in Japanese, they're the traditional style. So if you ask a Japanese person or a Chinese person if they can understand the Chinese characters used in each of their languages, then if they're from Taiwan, they might be able to, since they use traditional Chinese characters. If they're from mainland China, then it is unlikely that they'll be able to understand it. They might be able to understand some, but there are some characters that are just fundamentally different. I in Chinese is a different character than I in Japanese. And also, when it comes down to it, some of them look a little bit similar, but because like Chinese is the only written form of Chinese that is accepted by the UN, or recognized by the UN rather, you know, you can't really understand. They're not really that mutually intelligible anymore unless you go to Taiwan. Now, when it comes to Japanese, because it is its own language, obviously traditional Chinese is accepted by the UN with regards to that, but not in Taiwan. Now, back on track, hiragana, as I said, is the system that was originally used by women, and my professor did not explain why it became the phonetic system, but it is the most commonly used system of the three systems, kanji being second, katakana being third, and to me, for that reason, katakana will always be the hardest to learn, because I remember my kanji better than I remember katakana, since katakana is used not quite as often as hiragana. But my professor explains that it should be learned in hiragana order. Now, the order basically are all of the vowels except for one come first. So the vowels, and I'll just be looking down at my notebook, a, I, U, E, and O. Then after that, you learn the ka series and you learn the sa series. She calls them series because I guess that makes the most sense. Then you learn the ta series, the na series, the ha series, the ma series, the ya series, the la series, the wa series, and then you learn the last vowel, which is and yeah, it doesn't actually make a sound with your mouth because is just special. And then no, I'm not saying no or yes in Japanese, which we'll get into all that stuff later. Now, the thing you need, after you learn all of this, you need to learn about diacritical marks. So when it comes to diacritical marks, there are two lines, or I guess I should do it this way, two little lines that go over certain hiragana. And obviously if it's kanji, you don't have to worry about that. And then there's a little circle. Now the circle is only used with one series. So I'm just going to go over the series that have them, because not all the series have it. So with the ka series, which is ka, ki, ku, ke, and ko, you use just the two lines. And everything goes from making a K sound to a G sound. So it's ga, gi, gu, ge, and go. When it comes to the sa series, it either makes a J sound or a Z sound. Now, it doesn't always make either one. In some instances, it can make both, but I think there's only maybe one instance where it can actually make both sounds. So for the sa series, it's za. If you want to make a J sound, I'll explain how you do that later, because there are certain ones where you can make the J sound, but you have to do some special stuff to make that J sound. So for sa series, it's sa, she, not si, she, su, se, and so. So for the diacritical marks, it's za, z or g, zu, ze, and I don't know if it's ja. I've never seen ja, but I think ja can work too. Zo, or yeah, just zo. Now, when it comes to the next series, which is the ta series, there are some more little sounds that are that might sound like things similar in English, but you can't actually make them unless you write them in katakana. Now, so when it comes to the ta series, it's ta, chi, tsu, te, and to. There is no t and there is no tu. The tsu is a little bit hard to make for English speakers unless you're actually saying it in a word and it's not the first hiragana in a word. I hate when it's the first hiragana because it's super hard to pronounce. When it comes to the diacritical marks for that, it becomes da, di, do, de, and do. The next diacritical marks, where I mentioned that there is a circle, but only this series has a circle, and both the lines, is the ha series. So for the ha series, we have ha, he, fu. There is no hu sound. It's fu, he, and ho. It then becomes with the two lines ba, bi, bu, be, and bo. Now the thing you need to understand when it comes to the ba, bi, bu, be, and bo is that there is no hard B sound. It makes actually a BV sound. And I'm going to talk about some more little differences when it comes to that a little bit later. But other letters that are like that. So again, there is no BV sound. It's usually when it's written in Romanji, it's written as a B, but it makes a V sound too. So again, va, bi, bu, be, and bo. And it can be a little bit hard because that's one of those sounds that's kind of a struggle to make. But if you notice, if you have Japanese friends that struggle with saying words that begin with a V or B, that'll be why. Now, when it comes to the circle diacritical mark, it's pa, pi, pu, pe, and po. So yes, one thing that is fortunate is when they do turn into diacritical marks, they just make the regular sounds you would expect in English. Now, when it comes to combined sounds or letters that are basically two letters, the ra series is something that comes into mind. So the last four series that you learn, ma, ya, ra, wa, then you have the ra series, which is the RL sound that it does not exist in Japanese. So instead of having ra, ri, ru, ren, ro, or la, li, lu, len, lo, which is difficult for Japanese people to say, you have la, li, lu, re, and lo. Sometimes when you hear a person saying their name, if their name begins with an R sound, it's always going to be phoneticized, written in Romanji as with the R sound. Then just know that they're not saying, if it sounds like they're saying it with an L, and I knew one guy when I first met him, I thought he was saying Lentaro was his name, but it's not Lentaro or Rentaro, it's Rentaro. And it just kind of is the way it is. It's one of those sounds you have to really become accustomed to using, because the Ra series, especially you can't really call them letters, but I guess the hiragana ru, super common, super common. I mean, when you learn ru, there's a whole thing called ru verbs. Yes, ru verbs. Therefore, there's no way to get around to just saying, well, I'm not going to say anything that has a ra sound. No, you're going to need that. After you finish learning all the different series, well, but there's two things you need to be mindful of. There are two series where they don't have all of the sounds, the ya and the wa series. So the ya series, there at one time, Toba Sensei told us, was a yi sound and I think a yes sound in ancient times. But for whatever reason, they disappeared. So now we're just left with ya, you, and yo. And these are actually very important sounds as well. Now, when it comes to the wa series, there's only two, wa and wo. Now, the thing about wo is it's a very common hiragana too, because it's actually the object particle. But it's not often pronounced as wo. It's actually pronounced as o. And I pronounce it as well, and I know some people who pronounce it as well. But don't be surprised if you hear people saying, oh, no one's going to kill you. I don't really think it matters that much, but that's at least what I was told. And which is also a vowel. Oh, know that cannot be used at the beginning of the sentence ever. It can only be used in the middle of not the sentence. It can't be used at the beginning of the sentence, but it can be used in the middle of a word, the beginning of a word. It can only be used in the middle or the ending of a word, forever and always. Now, there are certain sounds that are not super common. They are common, but there are certain sounds that are actually super important. So take the hiragana su. When it comes to hiragana su, what you have to do with it sometimes is you have to shrink it in size. When you shrink hiragana su in size, here is what happens to words. you kind of make a pause in a sense. I mean, you don't really make a pause, but it changes the way a word is said. So, for example, there's a famous city in Japan called Sapporo, and when you say Sapporo, it has when in the spelling, it's two P's, but obviously when you say it, it's not really two P sound. It's like Sapporo, Sapporo, or Sapporo. I could be saying it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. It's Sapporo, Sapporo. That means that there's a small su there, and it's important to note that. When it comes to the ya series, they are also shrunk in size. So, I guess the cities are the best example for this because it's the most notable time. So, Tokyo and Kyoto. Now, these are two cities that are often said incorrectly. People say them as Tokyo and Kyoto. No. Wrong. But I can almost kind of see why, because in English, sometimes the Y makes an I sound. Understand that in these instances, while these are written in kanji, they make the yo in both of them, they become a small yo in the pronunciation. So instead of saying Kyoto, you say Kyoto. So you take the ki sound from the ka series and then you combine it with a small yo sound, even though you would probably never write this word in anything but kanji. And you say Kyoto, Kyoto, Kyoto. Another important one is the negative ending for non-adjectives and nouns is janai. When it comes to janai or janai des to be more formal, you take, and this is actually something going back to the how to make a ja sound in terms of, I guess, the sa series where there's only seems to be a lot of z sounds. So you take she, you turn it into g, and then you make a small ya and you make janai, janai, janai. And when it comes to the number 10, although again, you'll be writing it in kanji, the number for 10 in Japanese is ju. So you take the G, you take the she, turn it into a G sound again, and you make a small u, and it becomes ju, ju, ju. Now, why you can't just, have it to be normal when it comes to the Z sound, I don't know. But that is just what it is. So, small ya, small u, and small yo, very important, will probably be used pretty often. Obviously not always, but when you write it in hiragana, you have to be mindful whether or not it's going to be small. And an example of where you find both small, you can sometimes fall small su and small, I don't know about ya, you, but I know for yo together. So for the word to I don't know, like choto, for example. For the word choto, you take the chi from the ta series, you combine it with small yo, and then you have a small su, and then it's to. And when you write that, you have to make sure that it is small both, because if you don't, then here is what's going to happen. Choto means a little, but when you say it, it'll be, if you say it with the big hiragana, what will happen is you get chiyotsuto. Chiyotsuto is wrong. It's choto, not chiyotsuto. So that is something you need to be mindful of. Now, that's really all that there is to learning hiragana. This is what my notebook looks like, but it's all backwards, obviously. And I don't have everything. But the way I recommend doing it is just look up a hiragana chart online. Okay, that's going to be the best way that you can go about it. I mean, my textbook has it as well, but that's the way I recommend learning hiragana. Sorry this video was super long. Next video hopefully won't be as long, and eventually I'm going to get into some cultural stuff, but this video was just already long enough because of the fact that hiragana is super